Oh yeah, my theory about the draft format. Or rather my complaint about the draft format. So here it goes. Okay, so Direwolf put out a new expansion called the Flame of Xulta. And it is an interesting one, has many interesting cards, such as Cozy and Dark Heart, such as the Bargain cycle, such as the other cycles. But the thing is that I thought to myself a couple days ago, okay, but I want to draft an Elysian deck, like full of muster, etc., full of spellcraft weapons. So let's take a look at this. Muster. So there's a new mechanic called Muster, a whole new mechanic. It's on 11 units. Only units, right? Yes. It's on 11 units. And that's it. And that is it. That is all. You have your 4 yellow, you have your 5 blue, and you have your 2 Elysian ones. So, if you want to draft a muster deck, right? Okay, so here's a legendary. Here's a legendary that is unplayable. Mr. Sandman. Here's a legendary that is very playable. But out of those 11 cards, you have 3 legendaries, 0 rares, and what? You have your Swaying Sikirin that gives you 1/1 flyers. You have your Creeper that sometimes attacks for more and gets chumped because it does not have Overwhelm. You have your Mandrake that is good even without the muster thingy. You have your Snowstorm Druid that is not a lot. If you can muster each turn, then sure, but other than that, it is too much of a setup. Tide Color that, sure, is better than Yeti Instigator, but is it that good? You have your Yeti Traditionalist that is like that is a worse version. This is a worse version of Peak Top Tracker. Peak Top Tracker got permanently +2/+2 on Scout, and you could have scouted a couple times a turn. And for Muster, it is very... I mean, you can only muster once a turn, and it is usually difficult in draft to trigger muster. You have your Empath, and I think this is the best muster card for draft. Draw 2 cards, I mean, come on. Good defensive stat line? Yes, please. And there is also a 1/2 flyer for 2, which is like a more expensive, more troubling to play a Cloud Snake Hatchling that is not seeing play anyway. I mean, if you can muster it once, then sure. So this is the biggest problem with muster. 8 non-legendaries. I mean, you can get Kirin, Creeper, this Kirin, and probably Traditionalists more often than not, because these are the commons. I think if this cycle had like 20 cards, like 3 more commons, 3 more uncommons and some rares, with big muster payoff, then why not? For example, if you open up a rare with big muster payoff. Yes, and they're trash. So muster does not work because there are trash muster cards. The mechanic in and of itself is very interesting and intriguing, because you have your curses as your attachments, you have your exalted, you have your spellcraft. I mean, they did a lot of things around it. Also, another thing, spellcraft. Okay, so this is a rare. So this is a legendary. So this is another legendary. So this is a rare that is just amazing without the spellcraft. This is a rare that is amazing without the spellcraft. Here the spellcraft is garbage. Here the spellcraft is cheap, and that's what's good about it. This one is mediocre as well. This is okay, I guess, but you don't want to play the spellcraft. So for me, this is the biggest problem with muster. I mean, spellcraft is not the only way to trigger that, but the muster cards themselves are bad. Also, speaking of cycles, you have your bargain cycle. That is 5 cards. That is for ranked only, because you're not going to be... For them to be good, for these cards to be good, you have to play them out of the market for free. Like, this is the one I love, both for the artwork and for its this card's effect. You just play it in the market of Red X decks that has Eclipse Dragons, for example. And then you can just Eclipse Dragon attack, play this for free, get your power back during the opponent's turn, and... yes. Yes, but I mean, there are a lot of ways to trigger Master, as I said. Curses, Spellcraft, Exalted, a lot. Expertise, what was expertise? I don't know what expertise was. Anyway, bargain. Okay, so these are 5 rares, right? They are not playable in draft, not really. Then you have invoke, another cycle, and this cycle is amazing. Okay, expertise. You played an action, item, or support card that turn. So just non-units. Yeah. So it's similar. Anyway, getting back here. So they did the whole invoke mechanic, and it is a good one. These units are generally quite good. I mean, come on. 4/1 charge for 4. That draws you a red card, then later possibly also draws you a red card. It is very good. So this is also a very narrow cycle. I mean, they did a whole article about it, and about Master, and about Bargain. What else do you have? There was Mastery. What are the other keywords in this? Okay, there are some tribals, and tribals are cool. Oh yeah, there's Decimate. There's Mastery, and there is one else, I think. They brought back some Fate, some Ally, and that is cool. Oh, Exalted. Okay, so 3 of them, 3 of these mechanics are very either narrow or just straight out bad. Exalted. And with Exalted you do have some things, right? You have even just your Totemite, or your Convert, or your Outcast, or your Siphoner, or your Immortalize, and all of these... oh, and Exalted, nice. So this is a cool mechanic. It is present on a lot of commons, like even just Stand Strong, I mean just Dramatic Exit, but Immortalize more so than not. And Exalted is a cool mechanic. It is represented. It is a good mechanic in Limited. You need to shift your focus to also being able to have some bounce spells or some outright kill spells to get rid of these Voltron units. But this is okay. The next one was Decimate. And for me, Decimate is a great mechanic. Gives you a lot of choices. Like, take a look even at this Reap card. Looks strange on its surface, right? 0 cost, slow spell, you gain 3 health. But Decimate, you can lose 1 max power to gain 1 influence of each type. This is, for me at least, amazing card design. This is amazing card design. I'm not saying this card is amazing, but this is amazing card design. I mean, you have your effect of gaining 3 health, which can trigger Life Force, which was a thing like 2 years ago, or something like that. I don't know, I have not played this game 2 years ago. You have your emblems, which are great, and I believe they are balanced as much as it's possible with Decimate. What else? I mean, the Argentport, yes, emblems are really good design. The Fate 2/2 Evangels are great design. Like Immortalize, sure. Love this card. I really love this card. It costs 2. It doesn't give +1/+1. Can give Exalted, but you have to lose 1 max power. That is great. This is some decimated payoff, right? I mean, where else? This is some decimate payoff. Soul's Rest is, well, I think you have better words than me to describe that card. You have your Shenra Speaks, kill all units, decimate, silence, and kill all units instead. I mean, you can lose 1 max powers for all the Entomb effects to not come into play at all. Here you have your decimate, decimate payoff. So decimate for me is amazing. As for Eloz's Elite, it's just 1 unit, and this design is also great. I mean, it's a common 1/4, so it's a defensive card. Sure. And last but not least, we have Mastery. And Mastery is the best represented mechanic here. Mastery is the most represented mechanic here. It is the onslaught / spark / whatever of the set. So it is the widest one. And it has a whole range of effects. It is even on weapons, not only on units. And it is great if mechanics can go not only on units, but on spells and sights and attachments as well. And it's cool that sometimes the mastery is small. Like, for example, turn 1, you start, you play Echo. If the opponent does not have a blocker, you attack, and you already have a 2/3 Oni in play. So that is great. Or, for example, where is it? You have your Mastery 8 on this 2/1. So it is a longer build-up. You have your Mastery 10 on a 7 power unit. So it takes 2 turns unless Finest Hour or something like that. So this is also good design, good solid design. It is not as intriguing and interesting like, for example, Decimate. It is not as digital card game interesting like Invoke. It does not have as much potential as Muster, but it is a solid mechanic, right? It is the base for this set, in my opinion. So, to sum up, I think that they should have condensed all of those from 6 to 3 or 4 new mechanics, make more cards with Muster, just skip Bargain, skip Invoke, okay? Just skip Bargain, skip Invoke, make more Muster cards. Just focus on that in the future, Darwell, please. What was the last one? It was Muster, Exalted, Decimate, Mastery. And that would be great, right? I mean, you have your Dragon synergies, you have your Mill synergies, you have your Curse synergies, you have your Tribal synergies with Cultists and Sacrificing and Void and a lot of things. But each one of these synergies, those synergies, is too narrow for you to be able to draft it like consistently. Yes, exactly what Zello said. Either too many mechanics or too few cards in the set. And given my theories and Zellos' theories that there was something wrong with the interface or with the in-game client, I mean, there are a lot of bugs in this game, right? So I think they pushed some cards with interesting effects like Burst Porfern, and I'm not talking about the bugs that were here, but for example, for the rest of the game, when you play a spell, play an additional copy of it. It's a very interesting effect on a card. Or transform each unit into a 1/1 Raven with flying. That's a very interesting effect. Or for example, an 8 cost that turns into a 2 cost if you're aggro milling someone. That is an interesting effect. Maybe not a great card in and of itself, but an interesting effect. Waylay has an interesting effect. The enemy player discards each copy of a unit or site of your choice from their deck. Wait, what is the wording on... what is the wording on Unexpected Results? The podcast. Mage Queller, Mage Breaker. Transform each copy of a spell of your choice from the enemy deck into firebombs. So yes. Also, you have your usual fire combo card. You get +1 power this turn for each of your units. Reduce the cost of each spell in your deck by 1. This has potential. The whole invoke cycle has potential and is interesting. Yes, boss, I started this rant like 15 minutes ago with Muster, that it is too few and far between. You have your emblems, great design. You even have your cousin, a 1/5 Oni rogue with great artwork that has an interesting effect, so creates some treasure troves, and the treasure trove synergy is nice. Let me maybe go to multi-faction. You have your Kairos Grand Champion, a 9 cost 12/12 plus 6 max power. Your units deal a lot of damage to the enemy, and you get to draw a ton of cards when you play this. So Reanimator's wet dream. You have your Conspicuous Traveler that the chat has guessed last week, was it? Something like last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week. You have your Mastery 100, deal 100 damage to the enemy player. This is just my kind of meme, right? This is my kind of meme. Or kill a unit or site, it gets void bound. Thank you, Admiral Ryder, once again for all the help. Have a great night. What else you have? You have your new touch on a harsh rule that costs 5 but has a horrible requirement. You have your anti-dragon card even. You have your Sodi Spell Shaper, which is great because giving Ophidian or even damage dealing Ophidian, like what was that, Shadow Mage Infiltrator. I don't know if there's a code name for that in Magic right now, but generally when a unit deals damage to the opponent, you get to draw a card. So that effect has always been great for players in card games. And this is a spellcraft weapon that also plays Equivocate. And you can play Equivocate. Okay, so I have to write that article, so it's gonna take a while. Sodi. At the start of your turn, draw a card. But it costs 3, but has a horrible requirement, and Unmaster replenishes your power. I mean, this card is amazing design for a control deck, a very specific one. But more like for Expedition, because Expedition does not contain Torch. You have your what? You have a card that you can play from your deck for free if you double your starting health total. Right? Or what? You have another set of choices. You have your... the enemy player loses all their maximum power ability. You have your... play a card of your choice from the enemy player's deck ability. You have 5 more sites, 3 color sites. And you even have a wholly new dragon here, Nakova and Molot. Yes, I mean, in my opinion, they pushed so many cards with great effects because the game was slightly fading away when it comes to digital card games, and I think they wanted to give it the extra oomph, the extra push for this game to be interesting yet again, for people to not stop complaining that there are not enough decks to brew, there are not enough ideas to brew. So we got the new set, we got the whole new format in Ranked, I mean in Expedition, we got the whole new draft format with a 700 something card pool in just the curated packs. So yes, what I mean is that for me, this could have been a better set for draft. Yes, they pushed Mill a lot. I mean, Kaido Shadow Step, amazing design. Mastery 13, a 2/7 4 cost for 4. But it deals damage to itself if you mill the opponent, but then it does Haunting Echoes. So, amazing design. Felrog. If it's discarded, played from your void if you have a triple Feln influence. So once again, amazing design, but for draft, for the draft format, which brings for me sets as a whole, this is a bit too overextended. It is overextended into Bargain, it is overextended into Invoke. I mean, they did not have to, well, maybe they needed to keyword those for it to be shorter on the card and for you to just get a tooltip. But it has 6 new mechanics when they said that they were doing 5 new mechanics at the beginning. Ambivalent Thought, dzięki wielkie za raida. Thank you very much for the raid. Do appreciate it. Yes, Bargain came one set too early. Something like that. Or Invoke came one set too early. Something along those lines. And I mean, they are building up for a long... In my opinion, they are building up for a longer storyline on Xulta as well. Alright, what else? So yes, I think they should have cut Invoke, cut Bargain, maybe, probably, but for sure get more master cards for drafts to make everything more consistent, to just make 5 types of synergies, create 5 types of synergies, and try to put as many cards as possible for the draft format, but also go over the top with some of the rares and legendaries like Kaido Shadow Step and Felrog the Outcast and the sides. For it to be good for both drafts and ranked. I mean, I'm not saying this is a bad set for draft. I just mean that I wish Master was a better ability. Honestly, Bargain and Invoke should be in the 7.5 campaign. Wouldn't it be better if we got a campaign with 5 Invoke cards, 5 Bargain cards, some more ranked worthy cards for the Master, etc., etc. Yes, 5 Invoke cards, 5 Bargain cards. Wait, why did I start this rant anyway? I just wanted to share my thoughts about the overall design of this set. When it comes to drafts, when it comes to cards, etc. I mean, they did a great job of putting in a lot of very interesting cards, for sure. Might have pushed it slightly over the top, because they wanted to keep the interest in this game going for a lot of people. I mean, it's combined with September, with Droptober. A lot of streamers went back to this game, like the Jonah Vale example. So yeah. Yes, at least put the new tokens in the set. With those new sides, they are... No. Oh, art covers me. People are gonna shout cancer in on Reddit sooner or later. Just give it a week. Give it a week. Yes, if the focus was on these 3-color archetypes, would have been better. I mean, for example, curses are in this color. Also, they still didn't give us a name for these 3-color combinations. I mean, excuse me. My proposition. You might use it, you might not use it. Shavka. I mean, use the god names. Use the god names, the ancestor names, sorry. Shavka, Grodov, Kodosh, Linray, and Makar. So for example, if Linray hates red and yellow, it means that Linray is blue, green, and shadow with the focus on blue. So for example, this green that hates these colors, this is the old crystalline chalice, this is the time justice primal, this is Kodosh, etc., etc. Yes, boss, but I mean, this is only a 5-card cycle, with one being a fast spell, the other being slow spells. This is just something for the market. I mean, this is not Flash Fires, this is not Boil, this is not Douse? Chill, costs 2 more. Or Douse, counter a spell that is red, or something like that. Or, what were the other ones? Not Kismet, Karma. Tsunami, yes. I mean, those were bad. Those were horrible. There is no protection from color. There is no destroy all units of one color. I mean, this is not real hate. These are not real hate cards. And I like the fact that they are showing the anti-thingy. That, for example, blue hates yellow and red, etc., etc. I mean, we got In Cold Blood that removes all your green influence, we didn't get any more from that cycle. And I would, for example, I would like them to do more cards in that vein of In Cold Blood. For those who don't know the card, Edict in Cold Blood, yes. In Cold Blood, kill an enemy unit. If it was green, the enemy player discards each copy from their hand and deck. They can't leave the void. You lose all green influence. They could have done a lot with this design as well. And that is my only woe from Dead Reckoning, that they didn't continue this. Maybe they got a lot of flack for it. I don't know. But hashtag Roland deserves it. Deserved it. Okay, so that is me going on a rant about card design and card game theories.